Hello, everybody. This is Old School from What the Buck. I don't have my normal accompaniment with me tonight, D. Sanchez, nor the doctor. I've been sitting most of the day working my normal job and hearing on the radio from time to time about Brett Favre and the never-ending saga that is Brett Favre. So I figured that What the Buck should at least put something out on the internet waves, which represents some sort of an opinion about this, since we've talked about it at least 7,000 times. But the talks are heating up. If you use RSS feeds to keep in touch with what's going on with football, you'll see things like Pro Football Talk and Pro Football Weekly having probably a 3 to 8 ratio of Favre news to everything else. We all waited with bated breath for Coach McCarthy to take the stand. It was like a stand. It was almost like a court, wasn't it? For ESPN, and he said absolutely nothing of any interest whatsoever. It was one of the most boring wastes of time I've ever seen. Essentially coming down to he didn't feel as though Brett's heart was in playing for the Green Bay Packers. He would not speak for Brett, which is fine, but if you're not going to speak with anything of any interest, then don't take the stand at a press conference, because I have no use for that. So, what do we know right now? We know that Brett Favre was in Green Bay. We know they made a big scene with Deanna in the box and Aaron Rodgers throwing a lot of incompletions. We know that the Packers have subsequently met with him for between 4 and 6 hours at his house. We know that local TV finds it very humorous that he drives a burgundy Cadillac, since that's apparently one of our colors now, even though our color is really red. The discussions went on for a long time into the evening with Coach McCarthy and then with Ted Thompson and I believe another member of the staff, and it was determined it was in the best interest of both Brett and the Packers that he not return to practice for the Packers. There was some innuendo about there being an issue with his physical and an abdominal strain, but there's been nothing that I found yet to substantiate any of that. So, now the talks are heating up with the Buccaneers. We have not heard anything out of the Bucs camp other than what Coach Gruden said in the past. There's been a lot of noise made about the fact that Bruce Allen was conspicuously absent at practice this afternoon. There are discussions that he's already been meeting with the Packers before this, and certainly now with this. The latest that I saw come across from Pro Football Talk was that there was a plane that was leaving from Green Bay for Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We have no idea who's going to be on the plane. We simply know that there is a plane leaving and going that direction. We do know that in practice today, apparently, I was not there, but the reports that I read said that Chris Sims took a lot of the first-team quarterback reps. Greasy was conspicuously absent as well. Josh Johnson took a lot more snaps than he normally does. So I got to tell you, I don't know what the hell is going on. We know that Brett is agreeing to talk to the Bucs. The only reason that I've seen yet that he was not talking to the Bucs was that what was claimed to be an erroneous report that he made a claim it was too hot, which seemed silly given where he grew up. But you never know. I mean, it sure as hell does get hot playing in Tampa. The bigger problem for us, and we've talked about this in some of our previous programs, is that Brett doesn't know this offense. Jeff Garcia's comment was that to call John Gruden's offense a West Coast offense is a bit of a misnomer. It's almost indistinguishable or indecipherable compared to a West Coast offense, rather. So it's really John Gruden's variant that is so different from the basic West Coast offense that even it's a fallacy apparently to say the things that I had said in the past, where a quarterback who had been brought up in the West Coast offense could potentially pick this up relatively quickly, come in and make a significant impact. That's what Jeff Garcia says. He's a smart guy. He's also the current starting quarterback. There may be a little bit of posturing there. I don't know. That doesn't seem like Jeff's style. The sooner Brett gets here, the better if he's coming here. The reasons for him to come here break down to two primary reasons. One, financial. The Glazers could certainly reap significant financial benefit from having a future Hall of Famer and sort of NFL face and poster child like Brett Favre wearing the red and pewter. The season ticket sale problems that they've been having would go away. The sponsorship problems that they are having would go away. The drama, the mad drama that it would create would be phenomenal for the franchise from a financial perspective. From a games perspective, it kind of sets up interesting in a parallel to when John Gruden came to the Bucs, and all the talk was about the Raiders and the Bucs potentially meeting in a Super Bowl, which miraculously happened and gloriously ended with our victory in our first Super Bowl. Now, with Favre coming here, it would immediately make us contenders, given the fact that we have a relatively strong team returning from the NFC South Championship, strong offensive line, strong running game, very strong defense. We have questionable receivers in most people's eyes, but Brett Favre has worked with questionable receivers before. The real question becomes, can he take those receivers and run this offense? And when would he do that? Would this be something where Jeff Garcia would then become the ex-Buccaneers quarterback, and Brett would immediately step into the starting role? Or will they work some sort of a deal where Brett can come along at his own pace and then take the reins whenever it makes sense? Many people feel that Jeff is consistently injured anyway, and it would just be a matter of time before he would go down with an injury. I happen to disagree with that. I think that's a knock that's happened relatively lately from his stint in Cleveland and Detroit. But he does play a reckless game, and that means that you're going to have some issues like that. So when it comes to the number 4 actually fitting into the Bucs' plans from a football perspective, it becomes very, very difficult because you already have a battalion of quarterbacks you'd have to squeeze through. You could easily lose Sims and Greasy, in my opinion, based on the way they've played. The real question becomes Garcia and McCown. Josh Johnson's a practice squad guy. This clears out the room. I'd love to keep Jeff Garcia in this. I don't really care what happens to the other 2 quarterbacks. I don't mind a package deal. I think that we could easily pay market or under market given the fact that Brett has narrowed down his choices so significantly. The question just becomes, will he come in here and give his all? There was a question that was mentioned on ESPN by a Tampa Bay 1470 AM ESPN radio announcer. Will this be the Brett Favre that went 4-12 or the Brett Favre that went 13-3? And to be honest, there's no difference between those Brett Favres, in my opinion. They're the same guy. He takes a lot of risks, and sometimes those risks pay off. So the question becomes, does he have a team around him that can actually make up for the times when they don't pay off and bolster him in the times when he's running hot? And I think he does have that kind of team here. We said it earlier. We believe that Brett Favre would be a better QB than anyone we have on the roster. No disrespect to Jeff Garcia, but Brett offers a significant chance for a 3,000-plus yard quarterback without a doubt. He's a guy who's started, 200 and something consecutive games, which is just amazing. It's superhuman. And he's going to get you a lot more touchdowns than Jeff Garcia does. He will throw more picks, there's no doubt about it, so the defense is going to have to be on their A game. But with the running game that we should have here, the offensive line that we have here, it would be interesting. This soap opera, however, folks, is absolutely redonkulous, as we have said before. We'd like to see this thing end. We'd love to see it get to a conclusion relatively quickly. We're going to take a look here and see if there's anything else going across the wire about Brett for last-second updates. I've got nothing from the rumor mill of any interest. All the same crap rehashed over and over and over. Nothing new, but we wanted to make sure we got on record and said what we had heard so far and what we thought about it so far. One way or the other, we'd like to see this thing resolved in 24 to 48 hours and let it be over. Hopefully they're able to do that, and then we can go on with the rest of the season. I want to thank you folks who do listen to whatthebuck.net on a regular basis. Our normal show times are Monday at 7 and Thursday at 7. We'll be back to our 2-show-a-week schedule starting next week, and we will give you any updates we have as we get them. Thank you very much.